It's neither about the French Revolution in the 1800s or about the best wrestling show on TV today. It's just a movie all about a guy called Napoleon Dynamite on this episode of That Song from That Movie. Don't blame me, I voted for
Pedro.
Kang? Kodos? It's one of the two.
Thank you for joining That Song from That Movie, the journey through the very best and worst of movie songs. I am your 1% milk drinking host, Dietrich, and as always, we're joined by a black belt in Rex Kwon-Do, Alex.
Yeah, does that come with the United States flag pants that he wears as well?
I think you already have them. You just
You're
turn
right.
up on the day. They won't even let you in if you're not wearing them, so
Right. Well, yeah, like I said, it's a good job I've got some in my wardrobe.
it's their version of a gi. Or do they even wear gis in Taekwondo? I don't know. Anyway, and we're also joined by... There isn't enough quotes in this movie for 3 intros. Ben.
Surely there is. This
Not
is...
that funny.
Oh, well, I guess that comes into a different conversation later on. But this is often cited as one of the most quotable films going. I disagree, but it's just what people say.
Are you quoting people there, then?
Alex, you've known me for long enough. I only quote people.
Even that was a quote.
An original thing has never come out of this mouth.
I would like to know in the past fortnight, what have you been watching?
Cha cha cha. Ra ra Rasputin. It sounds like it's going to go into that.
It does a bit, yeah.
The Russian queen. There was a cat that really was gone.
Can we afford that?
I didn't sing it for long enough.
Turn that radio off.
and it probably wasn't it wasn't similar enough to the actual song to warrant a copyright. I have been watching just Stranger Things.
Yeah, how are you finding it?
I actually think it's the best season since the first season.
Yep.
I think even after one episode, I was like, this is already better than the last 2 seasons.
It's definitely, yeah, I think it's the best season, personally. I mean, I rewatched the first season in the past few days, which is great, but I do think this latest season is the best. You've got
Good.
the weight of, I guess, of the expectation as well. I'm assuming this is the final season.
There's one more.
There's one more
Oh,
season.
have they said they're going to do one more?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I hate it then already.
But yeah, it just feels like they've kind of gone back to what worked in season 1. And there's a lot more like school stuff going on. I feel like that's always a good place to anchor it. 'Cause I
High
felt-
school is such a serious thing.
So that's kind of all I've been watching.
I saw Top Gun Maverick.
All right. How was it?
It's alright.
Well, I mean, the reviews have been a lot more enthusiastic than
Yeah,
that.
the action is amazing.
You actually follow what's going on this time?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. I think the narrative, just I don't care about romance. Just give me planes. I've had that tattooed on my bicep for years.
My wife went to see it actually randomly in baby cinema, and she said there was a part where it was essentially Tom Cruise Maverick had like a rule book, and he's like, "This is the rule book,"
It
and then he
basically
literally
did.
throws it in
Yeah.
a bin. It's like, God.
and they do the thing of like the
Not the rule book.
he just threw out the rules. Can we do that?
What a maverick.
What a
no, one's ever,
maverick.
no one's ever done that.
This guy's a real maverick.
But yeah, it's enjoyable. It's like a sort of a Mission Impossible 2.5.
A sequel to the best
That's
one.
confusing.
It might as well exist in the same world because Tom Cruise only makes films in which he has to be this amazing savior. And even in The Mummy, where he attempted that with superpowers. Dave, have you seen anything?
I watched the Bo Burnham
Inside
the
Outtakes?
Inside Outtakes. Have you guys watched that?
Yes.
I haven't watched the outtakes yet. No.
What do you think?
I think it's called Outtakes. I thought it was a weird name for it.
Yeah.
It's more like a companion piece, like
Mhm.
almost like an extra hour of Inside.
Is it additional content, or is some of it like is there overlap?
Yeah, well, I guess it's like that classic sort of, production companies release like a Jackass .5. It's the stuff that wasn't good enough to be in the main film, but it's still pretty good.
And it's presented as its own thing.
Yeah, so it's in the same way. I mean, it's a lot of songs, a lot of shorter songs. Joe Biden slaps. That's all I'll say.
Oh, I thought the best song was 5 Years.
But yeah, Alex, you will enjoy it.
Yeah, I will watch it. It's not because I've seen 5 Years the name around, but presumably it's not the David Bowie song of the same name.
No.
No. But other than that, it's been the Jubilee. So I've not watched much.
Plygibes.
Platyjubes.
Why did everyone suddenly start calling it that?
I don't know. I heard it everywhere.
Yeah, I saw one thing online where it was like, oh, people are calling it the Platty Jubes. And that was it. It stuck forever.
The best thing I saw related to the name Platy Tubes was that someone said they should have renamed the new Elizabeth line the Platy Tubes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we also can't beat that, so we best move on.
And there's also a Jubilee line already. But anyway, this week we are casting our votes for Pedro by discussing Canned Heat from Napoleon Dynamite. Gosh. So...
Wow, someone's looking forward to this one.
So to find out what's happening in the world when the movie came out...
Time for some history.
And we're not going too far back, because we're only going back to June 2004. Now, I ignored all big stories. I'm fed up of big news nowadays. I'm only going small, quirky, weird. In Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, fake passports and work permits were being smuggled from Indonesia in packets of instant noodles. It wasn't just passports in these noodles, it was both passport and noodle. So I think that's pretty good. And apparently they could fit 14 passports in a pack. So they're pretty big packs. Because I have 4 passports, not just myself, just old ones. And I tried to fit them in an old pack of instant noodles, and I was running out of space. So I don't know if this is one of those things like chocolate bars have shrunk over time. I don't know if that's the same with noodles.
Well, how were you stacking them? Were you stacking them one top of the other? I feel like you've got to like overlay them like concertina style.
And was it like a pot noodle?
Well, I thought in my head it was super noodles.
Super noodle is what I was thinking.
Apparently, this was according to the police. If you examine the packets, you would think they were instant noodles. Because they'd also left the sachets of seasoning as well. Now I think if you take out the sachet, you could squeeze in another passport, personally.
You probably could, yeah.
And I think that's where they messed up. It's like, if they're going to open it, they're going to see the passport, so why are you trying to disguise it with the seasoning?
Maybe they thought the sniffer dogs would think.
Wait. What have you got passport sniffing dogs?
Chicken and mushroom powder.
Oh, what, a Bombay bad boy.
Well, that is potting.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know, this Malaysian bad boy. In other news, a blind man drove a golf cart for 2 miles through the winding streets of Petree City, accompanied by his guide dog and an inebriated friend giving him directions, before running into a parked car. 2 miles?
It's like the film Scent of a Woman.
Yeah, to be honest, it is, isn't it? And did he have his dog? Did he have a dog in Scent of the Woman?
There was no guide dog in Scent of a Woman, though, so actually, this guy had more of an advantage.
Do the line, Alex.
Which one?
What a crock of shit! I was thinking more just the...
Alright, okay, well, I went somewhere else. I'll take a flamethrower to this place.
I feel like it might be one of the greatest examples of everyone stands up in the courtroom and slowly claps at the end.
It's a strange film.
Finally, Peter Shelley, 24, punched a convenience store clerk and stole a packet of cigarettes after he refused to show the clerk his identification. But then he came back a week later, apologised. The clerk recognised him, rang the police, and he got arrested. So what does that teach you guys?
Never apologise.
Never apologise, exactly. Poor guy.
With his ID stuck in a pack of super noodles somewhere in Malaysia.
That's what made him angry in the first place. His car had just been run into by a blind guy and his dog. And he'd had to skip out on lunch. Anyway, in June 2004, we also saw the release of Napoleon Dynamite. So, Napoleon Dynamite is a 2004 American comedy film written by Jared and Jerusha Hess and directed by Jared Hess. And the film stars John Hader as Napoleon Dynamite, a nerdy high school student who deals with several dilemmas. I mean, if you can call them dilemmas. Befriending an immigrant who wants to be a class president, awkwardly pursuing a romance with a fellow student, and living with his, how would you describe them? Odd family. Dee, I'm very curious as to what you think about this film.
So, if I take you back, 13-year-old me saw this at the cinema after convincing my then group of friends to see it. I profusely apologise for making them see it, as it's probably one of the least funny movies I've ever seen in the cinema.
Oof.
It's probably second overall, like in my lifetime since, because I was one of the fortunate souls that saw movie 43 at the cinema.
Oh, so you're saying films that intend to be funny, not just like...
Yes.
Like The Interpreter, a classic of ours.
Yeah, comedies.
So that's bold claim.
Yeah, I get that it's like Napoleon Dynamite's supposed to be a kooky alternative film, and it really borrows from like the slow cinema genre.
I love how you delayed on film.
But I just fail to see why anybody would enjoy this, which makes its popularity so perplexing. So when I gave it another go in preparation for this podcast, I was hopeful that it was maybe just 13-year-old me not getting it. But after Napoleon Dynamite started talking, I just felt like the first time again, and I just regretted putting the whole thing on. and knew I had to get to the end of it to make sure that when you start talking about the song, I know what we're talking about. So yeah, I laughed once, same as the first time. The bit with the failed jump on the ramp with the bike, which is like in the first 3 minutes. And then it was
it's a good bit.
Another 90 minutes of wishing I was still at work.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oof. Alex, is yours as jarring as that?
Probably not. I've only seen it for the first time in the last couple of days. I'd never seen the film
really?
before.
Really? That surprises me.
Yeah, because it's one of those films that I think like everyone's always like was when we were like teenagers. Yeah, it was always like, oh, you definitely need to go see this. It's really funny. It's etc. And there's just
I
loads
certainly
of,
didn't say that.
Yeah, we'll certainly. Clearly, I didn't ask you. But there's also just like loads of merch and stuff, wasn't there? Like the T-shirts and stuff like that, and things like bobbleheads and whatnot. So yeah, it's surprising I've not seen it. But yeah, I mean, it's weird, isn't it? Quirky is not strong enough a word to describe how unusual this film is. Like, it's the kind of thing that you watch and you just can't comprehend how it got from a script through production and was made, because it's just so jarringly weird. And I can't really think of any other film that it was like, because I know there was a lot of sort of like indie teen films that kind of came around at a similar time, thinking mainly of stuff like Juno, which you would describe as quirky, but in a kind of legitimate kind of way. I feel like this
feels more like a real world.
Well, that, but also it feels like a real film. I feel like this, I just can't really understand what it is. But it's not to say that I didn't find it compelling in a confusing kind of, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to feel about this film. I'm not sure what the jokes are. I'm not what's supposed to be landing and what's not. There's like a really weird your mum joke at the beginning, which I was like, I couldn't tell whether that was trying to be a your mum joke or was just supposed to be something else. And the brother character, Kip, I think his name is just so like offbeat that you can't ever get into the tempo of what's happening with him. So I kind of sort of liked it, but just in a way that I didn't really understand. But I agree that it's not particularly funny. And I don't know why it's places like often though is like one of the best comedy films of all time, or it seems to be in the list for those kind of things often. Yeah, and that I don't really get, because I don't think it's laugh out loud funny comedy. It's kind of really strange comedy. So it's weird that it's had such like a mass global success, I guess. But I kind of got it because I felt sort of like I was experiencing something. I just wasn't sure what I was experiencing.
Just that you were experiencing something that wasn't a comedy.
Yeah, I was experiencing something that kind of itched me. Like, it made me feel itchy in a confused way, not in a, oh, this is awkward funny kind of way. I just don't know what it was going for.
Yeah, it's weird that, because I think, having not seen this film since I was, 13, 14, I would have described it as like awkward humour, but it's not really awkward.
No. In
the same way like things like, described like In-Betweeners and things like that kind of champions of sort of cringe, Peep Show, that kind of awkward humour. It's not that.
Yeah, unlike other movies and TV shows which are popular but I personally don't like, I can usually sort of figure out why it would be popular. Mm-hmm. Like if I take your two favourites, Love Island, I could sort of see why people would like an amped up dating show with lots of hot people bearing nothing, but I just don't get it with this. I don't understand why people find it good and what is the appeal. What's the comedy? I don't get it.
I think in large part it is because there is nothing quite like it. I was trying to think of what I'd compare it most to, like that level of humour. It reminds me of like Beavis and Butthead style humour. Yeah. You say kind of funny words and you just kind of laugh at them for a bit. There's no it's not a setup necessarily. It's just one-liners off the back of other one-liners that are a bit disjointed and disconnected within a scene. And because the characters are awkward and you're like, what the hell's going on? There's this kind of shared sort of experience, like a camaraderie of a sense that I feel you think about Napoleon. But I would watch more with the brother. I find the brother humorous, especially his relationship with the whatever the salesman blokes,
Uncle
the failed, the failed NFL player. I like that side of things. I just don't find Napoleon that funny. Apart from, I have to appreciate the one scene that we're going on to talk about. I'll definitely have to give some defense to that. But before we do that, we'll go on to summarize, because this film was a success. The budget was less than $500,000. I think it was around 375 to 400,000. they more or less ran out of money by the end of it. And it made $46 million, which is pretty good. I mean, it had a lot of backing in the production from MTV. Like, it was a big sort of MTV, and might have even been one of the latter sort of MTV films. I know Jackass has kind of been waving that flag for a while, but I think this is on the downturn of MTV. I think we kind of saw that probably in our teens. MTV was riding on its success of the 90s, really. This film did well. It was critically quite liked. I think because, again, people feel like it was a bit different. It was based on a short, Alex, so like it comes from a short by, I think it starred John Hader as well, of that same character. I've not seen it. I think you can get it online if you are so inclined. D, you can enjoy your Saturday night.
I'll be watching anything else.
Yeah. I think the name of it also sells it. Like Napoleon Dynamite, I think, is quite a cool name. The name comes from a song or a reference from an Elvis Costello song from the album Blood and Chocolate. Controversially, I don't think those two things go together, but I'm happy to have an argument about that. Jared Hess said he was not aware of Costello's use of the name, and there's been I don't know if it's an open back and forth, but a disagreement of rights and and the acknowledgement of where he found that. Jared Hess, so the guy who directed it, he said he found that quite embarrassing because he's a hip-hop head and he didn't want anything to be associated with Elvis Costello, which is a bit harsh.
Yeah, it's very harsh. Very, very harsh.
Is that an Elvis Costello impression? I don't know what the bloke sounds like.
It wasn't, sorry. That was something else. I find it impossible to believe that he could have come up with that name if it already existed somewhere else.
I know. I think that's basically Elvis Costello's argument. It's like, you cannot come up with this. Two people will never have the amalgamation of Napoleon Dynamite.
No. Well, I mean, other than Dynamite is similar in length and ending of the word to Bonaparte.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's blown apart. Napoleon blown apart. Dynamite. I don't know. Maybe there is something there.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Well, that's probably where Elvis Costello got it from. But Hess said that there was a homeless guy, I think he was a missionary at one point for the Mormons. And there was a bloke called Napoleon Dynamite.
So he stole it.
So he's saying there's a legitimate person called that
he said he met a person called Napoleon Dynamite.
I mean,
but that
makes it even less believable.
That person may have been called it after the Elvis Costello song.
Yes, well, that's true, actually. Yeah.
That's the thing. So both can be right, but I think at the core of it, if this guy wasn't born Napoleon Dynamite, and there's nothing pre-Blood and Chocolate reference from Elvis Costello, then I think you have to give it to Elvis. Not the proper Elvis, obviously. I don't think anyone would argue that he is the second best Elvis. Anyone going to take that one? Any listeners?
No.
Anyone? No?
So
Are we accepting of that? Baz Luhrmann might ruin that, but hey ho.
I hear that's good.
What, the film? Or Baz Luhrmann ruining things?
I hear the Elvis film is good because it was described to me as the first 15 minutes of Moulin Rouge, but for the whole movie.
Well, I mean, that sounds very good.
That sells it for me.
Fair enough. I don't know, and this is a bit off topic, but I saw an interview with Baz Luhrmann where he's like, we need to think of a modern artist that, represented Elvis in the modern day, and so we thought naturally of Doja Cat. Now, there's not... You've missed a few steps there, Baz. You've missed a few steps. No offense to Doja Cat, but, there's the connection, I don't see it.
I think, didn't Måneskin, do they have a song in it, the guys from who won Eurovision last year? Because I'm sure they performed a song from this film.
Maybe. We'll have to cover it at some point. Anyway, the song that we are wanting to discuss is Canned Heat by Jamiroquai. Now, I do think this is a very, very standout scene. I think it's a very famous movie scene, probably the only famous one in the film. And I'm interested to see what you guys think of that. But because I've always got to reference this, because whenever we talk about Jamiroquai, we know, because we are huge acid jazz fans, as we have clarified before on this podcast, Jamiroquai stands at the top of all the other acid jazz bands that we're aware of. Jamiroquai is the peak.
It's true.
He's the pinnacle. He is at the top of that cenotaph.
He's the only one.
He might well be, to be honest. So, the song Canned Heat comes from Jamiroquai's fourth studio album. I reiterate, because I always forget myself, Jamiroquai is a band. I always forget it's JK is the lead singer of Jamiroquai. Jamiroquai is not a person.
You mean his name is not Jamiroquai Kamiroquai?
My nose is bleeding. Alex, thoughts generally on how the British acid jazz movement is going in 2022?
Well, I think it has declined, hasn't it, a bit since 2004,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I mean, I live in Norfolk now, so it's not huge here.
No.
It's acid house
Right.
here.
Yeah. Early Nodders was definitely the peak of the genre.
The peak of the genre of acid jazz. Yeah, that's fine. I think all our acid jazz listeners out there would agree with that. I previously recognised this song mostly from the game Topspin 2, which may be arguably in the top 20 tennis games of all time.
I think I definitely could be argued.
Could be argued. Yeah, I'll take the argument.
I mean,
but
obviously, Virtual Tennis 2 is number one.
Wii Sports.
anyone that takes the argument has to name 20 tennis games.
Well, I mean, Topspin 1.
Yeah. All right, slow down, Alex, slow down. This is the second time we're covering a Jamiroquai song.
I mean,
We
that's shocking in itself.
briefly did it. well, I'm curious because we covered a Jamiroquai song when we did Godzilla. Outside of James Bond, have we done any other artist twice?
We've definitely done. I mean, this is a technicality, but we did do Simon and Garfunkel, Miss Robinson, and Art Garfunkel. What from Warship Down? So he is featured twice.
Okay.
Again, it might be a technicality, but like the Judd Conlon chorus in all the Disney films.
Yeah. I don't like that answer.
Randy Newman.
Well, I'm going to make sure that I find more Jamiroquai songs in films because this guy deserves
Sure,
to be
there
at the top.
can't be any.
There will, Alex, and I'll find them. As an acid jazz podcast, we must keep him at the top. So this song did quite well. It reached number 4 in the charts, was a huge hit across Europe. But I want to know, firstly, thoughts on this song as huge fans of Jamiroquai, whatever you called him.
I mean, I'm not going to talk about the scene just yet, but it was surprising when this came on in that scene because I didn't know that we were doing a Jamiroquai song. So when this came on, I was like, this was not the song I was expecting. And it was also like I didn't recognize what the song was until it got to the chorus, and I was like, "Oh yeah, now I know this Jamiroquai song. It's not Virtual Insanity, it's not Deeper Underground, but it's not Cosmic Girl, but it's the other one." It's the fourth.
Well, you're forgetting his
Go
best song, Space Cowboy.
Don't know that. I'd have to listen to that, hear that one to know what it was. Same as this one, to be honest.
Some people call me the Space Cowboy.
That's the one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Some people call me the gangster of acid funk.
I mean, I enjoy this on the same level I enjoy every Jamiroquai song, which is a moderate level. Neither up or down on the actual song itself. It was very...
Ironically, he moves very up and down in the video.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking about the video? The video's interesting.
I mean, you can do.
He definitely has always been someone who's tried to do something interesting with videos. But I feel like, other than possibly Virtual Insanity, because it's kind of an actual prop, the ones with all the kind of CGI updated very poorly, this being one of them. But one thing I did really think, though, when I was watching the video, is that they really nailed the aesthetic of the rooms of 2004. This all looks so bleak. But yeah, there's a weird bit where he's just like grooving around the rooms, people fully having sex behind him.
Typical acid jazz pie.
Yeah, it kind of had like Prodigy vibes in the video.
Yeah. D.
I think the song's a classic, to be honest.
Nice. That's the one.
Like when Jamiroquai get it right, they usually do get it right, and ends up being an all-time dance track. It doesn't stop JK himself from being very unlikable.
I can never tell if he's unlikable. I watched a few interviews with him, just kind of reading up about them today. Yeah, he's on the cusp of being a massive knob.
Yeah, but I do want to confess, though, that I've been getting the lyrics wrong for this pretty much my entire life. I thought the line was, "There's candy in my heels," like sweets.
Okay.
But it wasn't until Ben, I messaged you to be like, what even is the song from Napoleon Dynamite? And you said Canned Heat. Still didn't twig. Yeah, and then when I finally listened to the song, I had that sort of wave of, oh god, I'm such an idiot, wash over me as I realised I've been singing it wrong for 20 odd years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be fair normally, but the name of the song is Canned Heat.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was called Just Dance.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Nothing left for me to do, Canned Heat.
I think this is a low-key club banger. The bass player is absolutely slapping. He is absolutely slapping. If you go on YouTube, and this is anyone listening, watch their live performance from, I think it's in Verona. It's one of the first clicks that you can go on if you type in Canned Heat. He is single-handedly keeping funk alive with that bass line. He is going mental. While, JK is just running around. He does a slide onto the stage because it's been raining, and he slides in trainers for about 30 feet, and it just manages to stop at the edge of the stage. If that wasn't pre-done, That is incredible.
Maybe the floor was just moving and he was staying still.
Could have been. You know what? I can't trust anything nowadays. Yeah, I think it's incredible. The scene in which this comes up is quite iconic. So, for those unaware, Napoleon, in trying to support his friend Pedro, before assembly? Is it just before the assembly?
No, they have to do a speech each, and then there's they have to perform a skit or something.
That's it, and he hasn't prepared the skit, yes.
Yeah,
and so to save the day, Napoleon has been practicing repeatedly. He comes on, passes the cassette with Canned Heat by Jamiroquai on there, and we just have more or less the full song played out, camera still, watching Napoleon just bust a move. What do you guys think of this?
It's all about the hips, really.
Oh god, this guy can move.
He may not be particularly funny, but you've got to hand it to the man. Like, the way he moves his hips from side to side it's almost hypnotic. It's just so fluid, and I am jealous. I only wish I was able to move my body that well. If I was in his position, I'd have to opt for a really awkward, sort of leaning into the awkwardness, robot dance, which just wouldn't fit quite as well with Jamiroquai.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. No matter how relaxed he is, I try and do this. It's obvious I'm trying. It's that level of being so skilled with doing... When he has his hands in his pockets and he does that dive forward onto his tiptoes, kind of like a half split. It's beautiful.
I mean, there's no way that this is choreographed. Is there? It cannot be choreographed because it is just so loose, in the best way.
It's
very improv.
It's not to the beat either. After the first few sort of bits, it's so obvious it wasn't filmed on a budget of under $500,000. We'll just get any song we hope we can.
Yeah, well, I was wondering whether he didn't perform it to this song and they put it in the dub. I don't know.
I've got some facts on that.
Oh, well. I hadn't seen this film, but I knew that I think I'd seen this scene before, so I knew what was coming in terms of the visual. I didn't remember the song was Canned Heat by Jamiroquai, which was a nice surprise. Regardless of what you think of the film, I would have to say that this is kind of an iconic film scene because I think so many people would recognise it and they would instantly know what film it was from it. Yeah. And I think it is kind of a feel-good moment. I don't really know why, because the plot of this film isn't... Well, it's not there, is it? There isn't any.
No.
So I don't really know what I'm supposed to take from it other than he's just seizing the moment and doing a dance. And there's not really... I didn't feel much. I mean, obviously the audience reacts positively to it, but I didn't feel much in the scene because I was confused as to what was happening. And as well, because this is right at the end of the film, more or less, isn't it?
Yes, yep.
And I do think it's kind of mimicking, obviously, classic high school films and this big end moment, and it's kind of making a sort of a joke of it, I guess.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming, and yet I felt nothing in it. So it was kind of I get why it's been referenced on other things, or why it's stuck around in the movie-going consciousness, if you will.
Yeah. I think partly because Napoleon himself can be a very pastiched individual in which you can dress up as, and so it almost feels comic that he is doing it. I think the scene itself wouldn't be anything without that character. Whether you like him or not, it's easy to dress up as, it's easy to pretend to be. He's like a Batman sort of character. It's just, you stick some glasses and a wig on and do that, sort of voice. You've got Napoleon.
Yeah, and I think just building off what Alex was saying as well, you don't really know how to feel about the scene until the audience reacts.
Yeah.
If the audience had reacted negatively, the scene isn't changed, the performance isn't changed, it's not really played for laughs, it's not really played for cringe humour, it just sort of is a dance scene, and it could go either way, even for the audience.
Yeah, I'd say that. At some point it looks like they're really not enjoying it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, at least two of them.
I think what's all confusing about it is, regardless of the audience, as a viewer at home, I don't know what I'm supposed to think about it. I don't, because there's been no lead up. Obviously, you've seen him practicing the dance at points throughout the film, but there's no...
It's not like the music's swelling, is it?
Yeah, other than, you can see that if it goes well, it will help Pedro's cause in becoming the class president. It's not like a feel-good moment in a lot of ways. There's been no lead-up to this being important at any point.
Yeah.
I think that's it. But that kind of adds to the general weirdness of the full film, really, doesn't it? And then the end as well, with the whole odd tetherball scene at the very end of the film.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you saying that because Hader, who played Napoleon, said this scene was going to make or break the film. So they wrote the scene because John Hader, they knew he liked to dance, or dabble in dance, as he says. So they wrote the scene because he wanted to do this, but they felt like it was going to be the climax. If this falls flat, then the film falls flat. obviously it became quite an iconic scene, and I think helped the film carry into the public eye. But basically, they had no money left by the end scene. I think they shot it over like a month, so it was a pretty short shoot. They had equivalent of, I think it was one roll of film left, so about 10.5 minutes of footage to film the dance scene. So they did just 10 minutes of dancing, spliced it together, and that's what you get. So like the close-ups, everything like that, it's just all like, I guess 10 minutes worth of dancing just cut up, which, I don't know, for me, that's a lot of pressure for what is quite a silly scene.
Yeah, pressure because you can't dance.
No, I really can't. Although I did win a dance competition when I was 7, maybe,
Nice.
at a holiday park in Cornwall. But my mum would like to point out that it was based on a clapometer, and there was a lot of my family.
Clapometer.
Yeah. All I remember doing was looking down at the ground and doing a lot of crisscrosses. God, where am I now? Okay, so the dance was spontaneous, Alex, just like you said. There was no choreography. He said there was a little bit. And God, I said to myself, try and say this person's name without laughing, Ben. So I apologise, this person. So there's some some choreography by Tina. I can't say it. Why is this so funny?
Oh god, this is never going to live up to the expectations.
Yeah, this is not landing.
It's not really. It's not Tina Majorina. And I couldn't say her name. Tina Majorina. It's not a real name. Oh. So anyway, Tina did a bit of choreography.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently some of the moves were from Saturday Night Fever, Michael Jackson moves, and Soul Train, which we didn't really get over in the UK. Generally, they would just let John figure it out, and he had to just wing it. So for that, you've got 10.5 minutes of footage, and you just have to wing it. That's a lot of pressure. However stupid you think it is. You know, at the end of the day, you're still working with $500,000 budget. You know, you got all these people kind of waiting on you. I think this film technically has one of the longest credit scenes of all time, because they credited every single extra in writing.
There's also like a really long post-credit sequence that I did not realise was there. Obviously, because I was running out the cinema apologising.
Oh no, I didn't realise there was a post-credit scene.
No, neither did I.
Oh, well, surprise.
Oh.
It's like a wedding scene, and then...
Oh, well, I did see that somewhere. That was... I don't remember... I must have missed that in the film. I wasn't, like, paying 100% attention to it. So I was like, I must have missed that. But clearly that was why. But I mean, just when you touched on the opening credits, Ben, the opening credits are actually probably one of the best parts about this film.
Oh, yeah, that was
yeah,
quite
that's
clever.
true. They're
The
pretty
opening
good.
credits were really, really good, I thought.
It's probably where most of the budget went.
Well, I mean, maybe.
But just a piece of A4 paper.
There were some expensive condiments. They were saying, because when you're shooting an independent film, you have no idea what you're going to get the rights to. Because likelihood is, like I think this was shown at Sundance, you then get picked up by distribution companies there, so you don't know what kind of budget's going to be going behind the film in attempts to kind of get it into theatres, or is it going to go straight to DVD, or just straight to TV? You have no idea. So they had in mind 3 songs. One of them was Canned Heat, but they thought Jamiroquai was going to be expensive. So they also planned for another Jamiroquai song called Little L, just an album track. They also danced generally in mind. Hader said that he danced in mind to a Michael Jackson song from Off the Wall that he can't really remember what it is now. I mean, if you think Jamiroquai is going to be expensive, bloody hell.
Yeah.
You're trying to get a Michael Jackson song for an independent film. Bloody hell. So it was a choice between those 3, and they were surprised that they were able to get the rights to Canned Heat. They think that was half of their distribution budget just for Jamiroquai. So, I mean, he took all that £20 and, went on tour. I mean, I have no idea how much money goes to those kind of like music industry and for sort of distribution and rights, and I don't know how much of a budget usually goes to that. I imagine it's a drop in an ocean for the type of like blockbusters you get nowadays. But I really don't know for like independent films. You mentioned Juno earlier. Like Juno's soundtrack is quite iconic now. I forget the name of that band. The sort of acoustic.
Is it Cat something?
Do you know what I'm referencing? Do you know what I mean?
Cat Power?
Maybe.
Oh yeah, yes it is. Yeah.
But you have no idea. You have no idea what you're going to get. Whereas, yeah, I imagine most big budget blockbusters can get anything, even Michael Jackson. Although I don't know if his stock's dropped.
Nice way of putting it.
Nice way of putting it, yeah. And that's the most diplomatic way I will finish with.
Okay, so yeah, once again, I'm picking up the top 5. So
Top 5.
top 5 time.
Ooh.
I think it's fair to say that Napoleon Dynamite is a polarizing movie.
Yes.
But I wanted to know, in true Ben style, what is the most polarizing movie of the 21st century? So I googled a lot of lists, and I mean a lot.
I'm nodding.
Put them together on an Excel spreadsheet,
I'm nodding.
ranked them, and now I've got a top 5 based on that. I hope I've done you proud, Ben.
Oh, I'm nodding so much. So the most polarizing films of the 21st century. Do we know how we're defining polarizing? Is this kind of subjective, or?
Well, yeah, that's part of the reason why I picked it after last
Right,
week's using
was
hard
there-
facts.
so there was no definition within the articles, like to say like, oh, it had good critical reception but poor commercial. Or...
Yeah, well, it was a mixture of both, so divisive, polarizing in terms of like the critics to the audience, or just like it could be a Marmite film, so, something like that.
Avatar.
Not in the top 5,
Ooh.
but in the top 10.
Not a bad shout.
Oh, it was. Oh,
I still bloody love that film.
Hmm.
Polarized.
Crash.
No.
Or was that just like 100% disliked?
It is.
Yeah,
should
it
be.
did not go up on any list.
Yeah.
Are we talking
God,
like? I guess these are kind of. Will these be quite like big budget films? We're not talking like indie films, or is there a mixture?
I would say that most of them are smaller films except one.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think of like sort of indie darling films.
How about potentially a film we've been talking about for the
Napoleon
past...
Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. Napoleon Dynamite, number 1 on the list.
Number one.
It's number 1.
Wow.
Number 1.
Twilight. Do those films count because they did so well, like money wise?
No, not on any list I saw.
Nah. Well, they are sort of flying poops, sparkly poops, maybe.
Ooh, Green Book.
Nope.
I'm just thinking of Oscar-winning films. La La Land.
I saw it mentioned, but it's not in the top 5.
That's it. Better not.
Or the top 20, which I've got in front of me.
I know you like that film, Ben. But...
I'll give you a clue. The big blockbuster one is the middle part of a trilogy.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, 5th place, Last Jedi.
That makes sense. Because me and you, Dee, have had many conversations about this when it came out.
I like it.
Yeah, I especially like it compared to the other steaming pile of crap that is episode 9.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely better than that. I mean, there's no arguments here.
That was 5th, so you've got 2nd, 3rd, and 4th to get.
Garden State.
No, not on the list.
God damn it, I hate that
One
film.
of them I'd never even heard of, but it was on like every single list.
Damn,
It's a Brad Pitt film.
Babel?
Nope.
That one with the tanks.
Oh, Fury?
Not Fury, no.
Burn After Reading?
Whoa. Burn After Reading's a great film.
Yeah, but I'm just saying Brad Pitt films now. A film that you've not seen that has Brad Pitt. Yeah.
I'd never even heard of the
Never
film.
even heard of it, and it's got Brad Pitt in it. Troy.
No, it's not Troy.
It's a classic. Give me the first letter.
T.
Troy.
Troy 2.
I don't
This time.
think I'm going to have heard of this film.
Okay, I'll try a different one.
Yeah, go on, keep going.
3rd place, it's a horror movie that was very divisive when it came out.
It Follows.
No.
Get Out.
No. I think that's universally
Well,
praised.
I thought
isn't
so,
it?
but I didn't know whether some people were against it. The Babadook.
No, it's got an exclamation point. Stars
House of Wax.
Jennifer Lawrence.
That's Jennifer Lawrence in a horror film.
Oh, Last House on the Left.
Nope.
My wife loves that film. I don't know. I was shocked by Jennifer Lawrence in a horror film. Jennifer Lawrence in a horror film.
Okay, well, it's not about a father.
Oh, the mother.
Yes.
Oh, right. Yeah, to be fair, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that
Darren
was an odd
Aronofsky
film, to be
yeah.
fair. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
divisive. It was a weird film.
I like that film.
Okay,
Brad Pitt with a T.
keep stewing over that one. 4th place.
I get Troy out of my head.
I think this one did appear on a lot, but it's more based on the fact that it was advertised poorly. It was advertised as if it was like a Fast and Furious film, but
Need for
it's
Speed.
really much more of a sort of a very brooding, slow film.
Very brooding. And it was advertised as being Fast and the Furious, but it was brooding and slow.
Yeah.
God.
So like it's about driving cars. I might have just said the name of the film.
Is it Cars?
Cars 2.
Oh my god, no. The first syllable.
Drive?
Yeah, Drive.
The film Drive? Is that put?
Oh, yeah, is that really... I suppose
that
it's
polarised?
fairly divisive.
That surprises me. I
Yeah.
thought that it was universally loved.
Have you ever watched the original trailer for Drive? It's like an all-action-packed driving movie.
Right, well, yeah, very much is not that.
Oh, no, that's
Yeah.
that's a soundtrack we've got to do, because that is a banging soundtrack.
We can do that one twice.
Oh, yeah, because didn't like the BBC do like a version or something?
Yes, Radio 1 did a remix
a
version of the entire film.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to have to Google this Brad Pitt film, because I don't even know what it's about.
Troy's?
Troy's. That's the sequel.
Okay, so Brad Pitt, Sean Penn, Jessica Chastain, Directed by
21 grams.
No,
Damn.
Terrence Malick directs it.
Terrence Malick. Oh, Tree of Life.
Tree of Life,
Yeah,
yes.
that's quite divisive. Yeah.
That was the film that appeared on most lists.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Other ones in this top 20. Let's see if you think about any of these ones. I'll quickly run through a couple of them. The Room, The Lighthouse.
The Room, as in the
It's the Tony Wiseau.
Is it Tony Wiseau? Tommy Wiseau, that's it.
Tony Wiseau, yeah.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Kill Bill.
Well, I mean, that's
Volume
just
1.
wrong, because that should just be good. Everyone loves Kill Bill.
Appeared on multiple lists for some reason.
I love Kill Bill. But that could be because people are confusing it with Kill Bill too.
Maybe. Then there is Interstellar.
Yeah, that's fair, because I didn't really like that.
And finally, the one that is going to break your hearts, Spring Breakers.
I mean, you say that back right now. You know what? Just because you said that,
Next week.
You know what? If you hate the film Spring Breakers, listeners, you have to blame Dietrich for mentioning it now. Because next week we're doing Every Time by Britney Spears.
Please. I'm looking forward to finding that somewhere and rewatching.
Are we actually doing Spring Breakers next week?
I've got Spring Breakers on Blu-ray.
Blu-ray.
Lock it in. So now it's time to decide it's movie or song for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
For the first
Alex.
time in forever.
Beautiful. Answer the question.
I actually think I don't think you guys will agree with this, but I actually am going to choose film for song.
Nice.
Because I take all of your points, Steve, but there was something weirdly compelling about it. It's like a David Lynch film in that no one can fully comprehend what's going on, but sort of in a weird way it compels you, and this film kind of did.
Well, I'm definitely going song, just because it's not the movie.
I need Jamiroquai in my life.
But you got Deeper Underground.
I could do without Napoleon Dynamite. I've done without it for like 20 years of my life, so yeah, I
True.
could do it again.
Yeah.
I like that you couldn't possibly go another day with there without Candy. But Jamiroquai.
I've been listening to it on repeat during the background of this podcast.
Okay, so that brings an end to another episode of That Song from That Movie. Let us know which one you think's better, the movie or the song, on Twitter. Ben, what is our Twitter handle?
At TSFTMPod.
Correct. So, you can help the podcast in many ways. One of those ways is by sharing this on Reddit. But, Alex, what random subreddit should they pick this week?
What was her name, Ben? Tina, what was it?
Tina Majorina.
Tina Majorina. If she's got a subreddit, then there.
So you can help the podcast by telling all your friends, leaving a review, signing up to our Patreon, buying our merch. All the links are in the show notes. There's also now do some goodbyes. So it's goodbye from myself, goodbye, and goodbye from Alex.
I caught you a delicious bass.
You see what I said at the beginning about there being no funny quotes in this film?
I thought that was quite funny when it happened at the very last line of the film.
And goodbye from Ben.
I forgot Sean Bean was in Troy.
So goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Gosh. Yeah. Damn, I never learn from my mistakes.